Carmentary, back at ya, back on the road, driving in my van, stuck in traffic. Time to talk about the reality. No, wait, what is it? Social media versus reality. Social media versus reality. I've been getting these YouTube videos, like shorts. There's someone out there who's making all these shorts, and it shows, you know, these little clips from influencers or Instagrammers or whatever who go travel around the world, and they capture these amazing images, usually of some scantily clad woman walking along a beach or whatever it is. And that's like the Instagram version. And then there's the reality, which is like this really like the same beach, but like super crowded, tons of people trying to sell you stuff, kids begging for money, and like it's a totally different scene. So I've been checking out those videos, and they're kind of funny. Some of them are kind of sad, actually. You're like, whoa, wow. But it got me thinking that we have the same kind of situation right here in Japan, in Hokkaido, especially during the winter season, when there's so much hype, so much social media posting going on from everyone, you know, all kinds of people, from just your average tourist who maybe only has 100 followers, they're posting stuff, to top athletes, influencers who have been invited here on promotional tours. Then there's all kinds of, you know, homegrown tourism promotional content. You know, everybody's trying to show the best moments, the best aspects, the highlights, you know, tease you with these great images of powder and sushi and onsens and, you know, all this great stuff. And putting that out on the gram and on the tube and on the whatever. And I think we all soak that stuff in, you know, hundreds of hours of that a day, and everybody ends up with this kind of mindset of, oh man, you know, it just snows there every night, and then in the daytime it's like perfect powder, and we get in the trees and we like ski it up, and then we go to the sushi place and there's like actually hot chicks there, and we not only eat sushi, we get to talk to the hot chicks. And yeah, it's not like that. So today I want to completely destroy your dream of Hokkaido. I'm sorry, I don't want to completely destroy your dream. There are days like that. There are days when it is incredible powder and you're just floating in this dream world through silver birch trees going, wow. And it's just so soft and amazing, and the lift lines are short, and you're just lapping it, and the food is good. The ramen just tastes so good. And at night you do go to a sushi place and probably don't get to talk to her, but there could be a hot chick hanging out like down the counter a little ways, and that's enough to make you happy. You know what I mean? There are days like that, but there's not many of them, okay? So get over it already. The reality is, when winter really kicks in, like it has done in the past week and a half, 10 days here, boy, Hokkaido winter is and can be a real junk show. Right now, we have experienced a pretty vicious storm cycle. Extreme weather, very strong winds, heavy snow, more strong winds, more heavy snow. And what that means is, here in Sapporo, but also in Niseko, or pretty much anywhere, but especially here in Sapporo, this is a city of 2 million people. It's built as if winter doesn't exist. Duh, like, I don't know when that happened, but when they planned out the scale of those roads and the way they build the buildings, like, they must have done it in spring when they totally had forgotten about winter. So it's tight. And when we get these huge snowstorms and it dumps a lot of snow in the city, it's a nightmare. Traffic is horrendous. And we're pretty much at the peak of that right now. there are sections that are really, really bad. So just be aware of that. Now in Niseko traffic has been bad from the beginning of the season, apparently, even when there wasn't a lot of snow, just because of the sheer volume of people that are there and the fact that there's only one road that goes along the base of all the resorts. So you're gonna have some serious traffic issues. Now when it's a blizzard and there's tons of snow and they're not able to clear the roads you know, to keep up with the storm sets, it's only gonna get worse. Okay, so you have that. Now up on the mountain, let's talk about the mountain. Because I think people just have that image, you know, they're watching all these pro snowboarders and athletes posting all these amazing shots. That's what they're paid to do. They get good shots because they know how to get good shots. It might actually suck. It might actually be really crappy conditions, but those people have traveled here crazy distances and are probably getting paid some money to make it look good. So they put in an incredible effort to get out there and find that one line in the trees where there's no tracks and they can get this cool shot and just powder everywhere. But in reality, if you pulled back a little bit, it's all tracked out, it's super crowded, and there was just this one spot that they actually had to hike 30 minutes to get to, and then they had to probably like hike another 40 minutes to get back from. That can actually happen. I know, because I've done that stuff. But of course, you get here and you're like, oh man, I want to do that. Well, doesn't often happen. Now, let's cycle back to this wind, because right now, what we're experiencing is really, really strong winds. Right now, it's crazy windy still. And wind and mountains during the winter, probably globally, I'm pretty sure, is a bad combination. It creates dangerous snow conditions to start with. The wind knocks all these snow crystals around, they get smashed down into these little tiny crystals, and yeah, basically it can easily create conditions, wind loading, it can create conditions that are prone to avalanches. So that is something to consider. But even if you're not in real avalanche terrain and you're not, you know, gung-ho to go out there and try to get some big line right after a storm, it can create difficult riding conditions that are not what you see in the social media, is what I'm trying to say. The snow can be spongy, it can be kind of sticky. Sometimes areas will kind of get wind loaded and there'll be a lot of air within the snowpack. So when you go in there with your skis or your board, there's like a way that the powder snow will kind of like pull your board down, kind of suck you in. Instead of letting you float up on top, it actually kind of pulls you down and you're like, no, I stopped. That is super common after these windy storms that we get. And that's something I think, you know, people just don't consider. And it's something you know you have to learn from experience. But when you're in your hotel room or you're in your rental car or wherever you are and you're down in the valley, like it has been for the last couple of days, it's just dumping. It's just puking snow. You're looking out the window going, oh man, look at this snow. This is amazing. It's gonna be so good. And then you get up on the mountain and you're like, what? It's so different. An example. Today, I checked the webcams for all the different resorts and it looks amazing. There's like snow everywhere. Rusutsu Resort had the measuring stick was completely buried. It was like gone. It was over 60 centimeters. You couldn't even see it. But I have verbal verification from a friend who went there today that it was not great at all. It was wind blown. There were ice chunks that had fallen off all the trees. There were, you know, wind lip things all over. Some sections that had been hit directly by the winds had no snow. Some sections had really deep snow. So there were little pockets. but you had to be really careful about the ice cookies and other obstacles. When it gets really windy, we can get like branches knocked off. A lot of the tree skiing here is great, but you get these big trees called dakekamba, and they have these big branches that hang out. They get loaded with snow. And when a big storm comes, a real windstorm, it can actually like knock the whole branch off. It pushes on that snow, and then it's heavy enough, it knock a whole branch down. Then some more snow falls over it. You come along and boom, you hit a branch under the snow. Like, there's all kinds of dangerous things that happen because of those strong winds. So I just wanted to talk about that today and make sure everybody understands that even though it can look amazing, not only on the social media, but also just out your own window, you know, out the window of your hotel or the window of your car, you're like, look at this is incredible. Up at elevation in the mountains, it's going to be a completely different story. So please keep that in mind. Also, final note, road closures are a real issue. The last 2 days we've had the Asari Toge road, which goes between Asari and Jozanke. It's the road you need to access the Sapporo Kokusai ski resort from either direction. It has been closed for the last 2 days. This is due to snow maintenance. They get a lot of snow on the road. They get a lot of snow on other roads. The same company that clears that road also has to clear other roads, including like the main arteries, like this one, for example. So if it snows a lot down in the city, those companies prioritize clearing the main roads first, obviously, before those mountain roads, which don't really get a lot. They're not like necessities, right? It's not a necessity that we all go ski, but it's a necessity that gasoline and food makes its way to gasoline stations and supermarkets. So that's why they close the road. You can actually go to the gate and you'll look at the road and you'll be like, oh man, it's clear. Like, why isn't it open? But there may be sections that aren't clear, or the other side of the pass is not clear. There's all kinds of things. Now, there's a website. If you search Hokkaido Road Information, I forget the exact name of the website, but if you search that, it'll come up. They have an English version of a great website that has all the road information for Hokkaido centralized. They got a map. It has these little blinking things that shows what roads are like not, you know, open. It has quite a bit of English information. I highly recommend you bookmark it and keep an eye on that one, because that will have the latest information on what's going on. I believe there's webcams on there as well. They're all the different road webcams, so you can look at a lot of different mountain passes and see if it's snowing or not. It's a great idea to look at that before you head out somewhere long distance. You know, if you're planning to go to Asahikawa or somewhere, you know, just have a look at that, especially the highways. The highways are very sensitive to heavy snow, and they will shut down quite quickly. And if the highways shut down, all the cars that were planning to be on the highway come to the normal roads, and it gets really crowded. So that is another consideration here in the winter. Don't mean to make this a downer, and by any means it's not. Like, it's all great, but I just want everybody to have a little reality in their expectations of life in Hokkaido. It's gnarly here. January and February is crazy. And finally, I'll just say, we call this Hokkaido, Japan, and everyone, when you think of Japan, you think of, you know, great service and, you know, amazing country, blah, blah, blah. The reality is, Hokkaido is actually part of Siberia. And I think people, you know, need to remember that. We say Japan, but, you know, as a physical location on the planet, this is Siberia, man. We're like right below Siberia. It's those cold Siberian winds that blow across the Japan Sea, pick up all that moisture, and then hit Hokkaido and dump the snow. Above Hokkaido is Sakhalin and Kamchatka Peninsula, parts of Russia. They're very close. We're like right there, right there. So in your brain, you have to think, I'm going to Siberia, but they call it Hokkaido. Okay? That's the best way to think about Hokkaido in the winter. Just understand that you're going to an extremely remote, cold, wild place that just happens to be populated by an extremely efficient smart society that has created a really incredible infrastructure. But the fact is, this is still Siberia, man. Drive safe.